everyone. Today we are going to be learning about the word slope. In our linear equations we've been working with, we've been trying to figure out how to graph our lines. Well, every single linear equation that you have or that becomes a line will have a equation that looks like this. Y equals mx plus b. So we know what x and y are. Okay, so x is the x-axis, y is the y-axis. The part that we're going to be looking at today is the m. The m is the slope. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at the m, which is our slope of a line. Well, the slope of a line is how steep the line is. So it's how much of an increase or a decrease the line has when you graph it. So the slope of a line is a measure of the steepness. So slope is a measure of steepness. Oops, that should be of a line. Okay, so we have slope, and it's the steepness of the line. Some lines are steeper than others. Their incline is steeper. Some are more horizontal in their steepness. So when we're looking at slope, right here, this m will tell us how steep the line is going to be. It tells us what the steepness is. All right, so m is the rise over the run. So rising, like going up, and then running over. So up and over. So how far up the line goes, how far over. This means what is the change in y over the change that's occurring in the x. All right, so first let's talk a little bit about what this means when you have an actual graph. Because these are just a lot of letters right now, and we want to put it into some context for you. Okay, so let's say that we have a line. We have a graph, and I'm going to put the picture up right now for you so you can see that picture. But here is our line. So if you notice here in this graph, you can see that our line rises from left to right, and it goes upward. So this slope is positive. It's on a positive incline. So think of this like a mountain. You're climbing up the mountain. Okay, so this one is a positive incline. You can use this graph right here to find the slope. So the slope equals m. So in our equation, it will be the m, and that means that it is the rise of the line over the run. Okay, so let's talk about what these words mean. So to get from one point to the other, I have to run and I have to rise. So we can look at first, let's look at how do we get from one point to the other. So to get there, to get from this point here to this point here, I have to move ahead, and then I have to go up. But how many places do I move over and up? So first we're going to look at the run. Because when you run on the ground or run on the x-axis. So how many places did I have to run? Well, I had to run 1 line, 2 lines, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I had to run 6 places over. Now the rise going upward, so when I rise out of bed, I get up. It's the same thing. So how many places did I have to rise? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I had to rise 5 places. So the slope of this line is up 5 spots and over 6. It's rise over run. That is the steepness of this line. So the steepness of the line is 5, 6, or 5 over 6. Okay, so let's go back to our other screen, and then we can look at how to write this in our notes. Okay, so we have the rise is how far up, and the run is how far over. Okay, so how far up and how far over. When we're looking at rise over run, we're looking at what is the difference between the point, the 2 points. So we had to run 5 and, run 6, and go up 5 places. So 5 over 6 is our slope. So if we were to plug this in, it would just say y equals 5 over 6 x. This right here, plus whatever the number is that they gave us. This number tells us what change is occurring to the x. So we would then multiply this by x. This changes or helps make the change in the x value, which then changes the outcome of the y value. So the slope helps us determine what our points are going to be, or the steepness of the points. Okay, let's look at another example that I have for you. Okay, so this next example that I have for you looks like this. Notice that this is a negative slope. Okay, so this one is a negative slope. So I'm going to write that in my notes for part B. This one is negative, and it's negative because it goes downward. So the slope is trending down. So this one, the first one we did was positive. It moved up. This one is negative. Notice it's going from left to right, moving down. Okay, so left to right, negative. That's a negative slope. Okay, so now we're going to use the coordinates here to help us figure out what type of slope is happening. So not only can you count the squares, but you can also use the ordered pairs to help you solve what the points, what the slope is. So we're going to use the coordinates -1, 1, and we're going to use the coordinates here of our other point. So here's our here's 1 point, and here's our other point, the ordered pair, 1, -2. So we're going to say, we're going to use an equation to solve. So m equals y2 minus y1. So this just means that we're going to look at the y coordinates of point 2 and the y coordinates of point 1. Here's the y, and here's the y. Okay, so point 2 is here, point 1 is here, and we would just subtract them. And then we would look at the x coordinates. So the x's, we would subtract our x's. Well, x number 2 and x1 to be able to solve. So instead of just counting over to down 1, so, you know, this is still your rise here, even though you're not really rising. You would have to go up and over to be able to rise. And it's the same thing, but because we're going downward, you can just use an equation to solve. So we're gonna, oops, I did too many of those. Okay, so let's look at this -2. So our first value is -2 in our y's. Point number 2, because this is the second one on the line. Here's the first one, here is the second one. And then I minus or subtract the first x coordinate. I mean the y coordinate, sorry, the first y coordinate. Now, so there's my y values right here. y1, y2. Now on the second point, my x value is 1. So I'm going to put a 1 here. Then I'm going to find the difference, which is -1. So I have to subtract a -1. There we go. All right, so I have -2 minus 1 and this ordered pair of -1 and 1 subtracting there, and now I am ready to solve for the slope. So 1 minus a -1 gives me 2, because when I remove negativity, I get positives in my life. And on this one, I have -2, and then I remove one more, which gives me -3. So my slope is down 3/2. So when I look here, that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm running 2 places. Let me get back to my blue. I'm running 2 places, 2 places, and then I am running down 1, 2, 3 places to this point. So you can either count boxes or you can use this equation, whichever way is easiest for you. However, this -2/3 is what created these values of point number 2. It told us how steep the line would be. If I continued on and ran over 2 and down 3, 1, 2, 3, boom, I find another point right on the line. I can also do this in reverse. I can move up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 2, 1, 2, and boom, I would be right on the line. So going back to our last lesson where we talked about solutions, both of these points right here and right here that I just added to this line are both solutions to the equation that we've worked with, because -3/2 has helped us to create these 2 points, or the slope of the line. So let's go ahead and put this information into our math journals. All right, so we have a negative slope, and this one was a positive slope. All right, so the way that we found this was by using the y-axis, the y points of the ordered pairs. So we took y2 and we subtracted it from y1 first. And then after we did that, we took x number 2 and x number 1 and subtracted those points. That gave us -2 minus 1 on the top, and what was it? 1 minus a -1 on the bottom, which in the end told us that we had a slope of -3. There's our negative slope right there, over +2. So when we put these numbers here back into our equation, our y equals mx plus b equation, so y equals m times x plus b, the slope is a -3/2 times whatever x is, the x value, plus the b. And that all gives us whatever the y value is. So the slope tells us the steepness of the line. And this line is a negative steepness or a decrease in steepness that goes down -3 and over 2 spots. Okay, it is your turn for a try it. I want you to tell me, what is the slope of this line? What is the slope of this line here? So looking at this line, tell me the slope. Okay, so this is your try it. I'm going to leave it up here on the screen so that you can count it. And then you can put your slope in your math journal as your try it. All right, so hit pause right now so you don't hear me solving, and then when you are ready, you may hit play. All right, so my m, or my slope, equals rise over run. So first I'm going to run over so I can rise. I'm going to move 1, 2, 3. Make sure you count the axis as one line. 4, 5, 6 places. All right. And then I have to move up. So I ran, the run was 6, and the up 1, 2, or the rise is 2. So my slope is 2/6. The slope is 2/6. All right, how did you do on your try-its? Or try it, I should say. So the slope is just the value of m, and that was 2/6. If I wanted to put another point on this line, I could run another 6 spots and then go up 2. Notice that fractions can also be simplified. So I could go up 1 and over 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm still on the line. So this is a solution. Up 1/3, boom, I'm still there as a solution. So you can also simplify your fractions, or the rise and run. All right, thank you for all your hard work today, and make it a great day. If you need help, come back to the Google Meet. Otherwise, you may go and do your practice work. Have an awesome day, everyone.